SBM on December the 14th, 2022, and this regular meeting of the El Campo Independent School District Board of Trustees is now called to order. Let the record show that this meeting was duly posted in accordance with section 551.043 of the Texas Government Code with regards to public meetings posting requirements. There is a quorum of members present. At this time, will you rise for an opening prayer led by Mr. Brock, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Thank you, Lord, for this chance to come together to do the work of the school district. Thank you for the people that we have here and for the opportunity to serve and to take care of our kids and what needs to be done for them. Thank you for my friend David Bright and the years that he's given to this school district and who he is as a man and as a friend of mine. Thank you for all of our blessings. Help us and lead us through this day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, that will take us to public comment. Has anyone signed up for either? Just let it be known that at regular meetings, the board allots 15 minutes to hear persons who wish to make comments to the board not related to agenda items. We also allow time for public testimony. Board provides opportunity for the public to address the board pertaining to items on the agenda for any open meeting of the board. We encourage any participation. That'll take us to recognition.
And our people have rescheduled.
We have rescheduled the STARS recognition to our state found, which is awesome. So we get to look forward to that in January. That will take us to the consent agenda. Consent agenda is item number 4. And according to local policy BE, a consent agenda is provided that includes items of a routine and or reoccurring nature grouped together under one action item. Board members have been furnished with background material for each of the items listed as part of the consent agenda. Unless a board member requests that an item be withdrawn for individual consideration, items are acted on by one vote without separate discussion. Are there any items that a board member would like to pull from consider singular?
And if the board has any interest in having any questions on the bilingual and ESL program, we do have our great Tana in the back, so she's here to answer questions. And if you say you don't have any, she will be leaving shortly, I'm sure.
Sit on this side of the room. I was really excited about the new courses that I saw. Those were
And if you have questions about those, you can ask
really
Alicia.
cool.
We already have a couple that we offer, and this is gonna allow us to finish a path, for an endorsement, or a certification, so.
Yeah. That was cool.
And just so the board knows, I've allowed the principals, because you'll see there's a closed session before we get into any of our business. So I expressed to them that everybody's busy. Things have changed, so I gave the principals permission not to be here tonight. And I do want you to know that both Demetric and Alicia and David all said that they did not want to miss this for anything. So they actually, I told them I felt like I could cover it, but they were here anyway, so. It was voluntary, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
This is mandatory voluntary. I've been on trips like that.
Voluntold.
I make a motion that we accept or approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion by Mr. D. Brock, second by Ms. Smith. Raise your right hand. Pose same sign. Motion carries unanimously with Mr. Irwin absent.
Bye, Tana.
Thank you for being here.
I'll sit for a little while. Yeah, I feel guilty.
That'll take us to item 7B2. We're gonna jump around a little bit.
7B1 and 2.
1 and 2. 7B1 and 7B2, which is the financial audit and compliance report.
Yes, and before David introduces our speaker, I just would like to take a minute. We didn't want to put it on the agenda as a recognition, but I just want to recognize, I appreciated Mr. DeBrock's prayer. I appreciate the years of service that Mr. Bright has given to our district. I think he's been a shining light. His brightness shows, and it has been a pleasure for me to be able to work with him over the past 2.5 years. And saw he and Mr. Wells working together today. It was quite a sight. Mentor and mentee, so I do want to, before Mr. Bright introduces our audit, I just wanted to give the board an opportunity to congratulate him on many years of great service to El Campo ISD.
Thank you. I had a long talk.
Well, I'd like to also say thank you to all of you. I've enjoyed working in this district. I was sitting here the other day thinking about what this district looked like in 2002 and compared to what it looks like today. And a lot has been accomplished over the past 21 years. So that's attributed to the superintendents and the school boards that have served in this district. And I'm proud to be a part of it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And tonight we have Mike Brotherton from Belt Harris and Pechacek, and he's here to give our audit report. So, Mike.
Thank you. I'd like to echo those remarks also. Thank Mr. Brett for his service and help with the audit this year and past years, and I always appreciated his professionalism and knowledge, and he's going to be missed. So thank you. There's going to be a few changes in the report this year. There was some new auditing standard changes that impacted the communication and presentation of some of the letters. Most of it's template based. And there were some new standards that I'll touch on also. But the first change you may notice is the opinion letter. So if you have the report in front of you, if you go to page 7, this is the independent auditor's report, also referred to as the opinion letter. If you recall in past years, the opinion was kind of tucked on page 2. Well, with the changes, they wanted to make it front and center. So the opinion comes first. It's more logical placement for it. And then from there, you'll notice that a lot of the language is the same. So it has the management responsibilities, the auditor responsibilities. But the district received a clean, unmodified opinion. That's us providing our assurance that the financials are free of any material misstatements, and they include all the reporting requirements, disclosure requirements. So the district received an unmodified opinion. Next, we'll touch on some of the financial highlights. So I'm going to jump to page 25. So page 23 and 25, that presents the financials for the district on the full accrual basis. So it's the same basis of accounting that for-profit companies would report on. So it takes into account your long-term assets, your capital assets, your long-term debt, so your bonds, pension, OPEB liabilities. There's no significant changes on page 23, so we'll just look at the net operating results on the full accrual basis. So third row from the bottom on page 25, your revenues were $48.5 million, expenditures were $45.2 million. So that resulted in a net change of $3.2 million. So you started the fiscal year at about $4.7 million and ended just under $8 million for your net position. Let's jump to page 30 and 31. So look at your governmental funds. Now we're on the modified accrual basis of accounting, so it's essentially short term with a few exceptions for certain assets and liabilities. So the first one, your general fund. You third row from the bottom again, your net change in fund balance is a decrease or use of about $351,000. So you started with $10.2 million and ended with just under $9.9 million. The rule of thumb is that you want to have about 3 months or 25% of your annual expenditures in unassigned, unreserved fund balance. And currently the district is at 27%, so operating with a healthy fund balance. We'll work our way across. The debt service fund had an increase of almost $27,000. And the net for the district as a whole was a use or decrease of $264,000. That's mostly due to the capital project fund. In the back of the financials is where the child nutrition fund would be presented because it's a non-major fund. And that had an increase of $486,000, and that ended with a fund balance at $822,000. Question we often get is on TRS, what the funding level is. So I can touch on that when I present. So you can find that information on page 70. So the pension information gets reported a year behind. There's a measurement period for that. So that is as of 8/31/2021. And the first column there, under 2021, the last number, that's the funding percentage there. So as of 2021, it was almost 89% funded. If you work your way across, you can see how that compares to prior years. And then also included within the report, there's a management letter in the back, and then our required auditor disclosure letter. One of the items in the management letter we talked about this year is a new standard that's coming up. So there was a standard that was applicable this year, the new lease standard. The goal there with GASB was they wanted to put a number to future commitments. So basically any lease commitment over a year, you had to calculate what that liability was, discount it, and you recognize a right to use asset, and then you recognize the lease liability. They essentially offset. So in past years, that was just reported as a note disclosure, but now GASB's wanting to try to get those on the face of the financials. So the standard that's going to be applicable next year is going to be based on software. Same concept, it's going to mirror the lease standard. So there's going to be another right to use asset you recognize that's going to be offset by a subscription or software liability. Same concept there is if you sign these agreements, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it may be, these are future commitments. So GASB wanted to get a number tied to that to present it on the financials. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
David, anything you'd like to add?
Really the only leases that we have in the district, we do have our leases for our automobiles, our copy machines, and that is the extent of it right now, but the software, of course, will need to be reported, software, and I think that's about it.
Well, what's calculated this year for the leases was immaterial.
Yeah.
Most districts, it's typically copiers, and potentially miscellaneous leases. But this subscription-based one, software, there's probably more.
But I'm happy with the audit. It's a clean audit, and we still have a few PICOs, federal funds that we need to be able to spend all the money, but that's an ongoing problem. We've got a lot more money than we can spend specifically because of the ESSER money. And but the matrix will have to work on it.
Working on it.
Yeah.
And when TEA looks at that, they use a 3-year average. So you may have 1 year, we didn't spend enough, then their percentage that they want you to spend, but they look at it on a 3-year average.
Gotcha. If there's no further discussion, I'll consider a motion to approve the financial annual audit.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Mr. Dortick, second by Mr. Vallejo. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, Next item of business is the approval of engagement with Bell Paris.
Yeah, so that's found on page 203 of your board packet. I think that's where it is. And then
Yeah, it's on
Two what?
203.
so Mr. Bright, would you like to address your audit letter?
Yes,
Engagement.
we've received a letter from Bell Harris, for their engagement going forward, and it is for a 3-year period. We're completing, the 3-year period that we're in. We've been with Bell Harris for quite a few years now. I don't have the exact year, but they do a tremendous job for the district, and it's my recommendation that we continue with them.
Any discussion? I'll seek a motion.
I so move.
Have a motion by Ms. Smith, second by Ms. Nahavitz. Raise your right hand if you're so inclined. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Unanimously with Mr. Irwin absent. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So you can go back and tell them that we got another 3 years.
Appreciate it.
That's right. 200, this is Mr. Bright's 240th official board meeting.
40?
Well, yeah, plus all the special meetings and everything. But as far as the regular meetings per month, that'd be. We'll bounce back up to presentation items, 5B1. Safety, security update.
Well,
Right?
Yes, correct.
COVID-19 ESSER expenditures.
You ready?
Yes.
I'm passing them out.
Are you passing them out?
Yeah.
All right.
Don't you want me to?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll start off with, safety and security. We're still, in the process. They're actually starting the key fob entry, installation. They're over at Northside right now. They're actually getting to the point where they're actually getting the fob systems ready to implement. Also, we've continued to do our door audits. I'm expecting probably another visit, anytime, probably when we get back in January, probably expecting another visit, just to check for safety and security. There's a couple of districts in Region 3 that have been checked again here in the last couple of weeks. But at the previous board meeting, we talked about ESSER and some of our expenditures, and you just kind of heard in the audit about us, dyslexia funds and college and career military readiness funds. We didn't spend what we needed to spend in those. Part of the reason we did not spend all of those funds was because we've been trying to spend this ESSER money. So if you look at your ESSER 1, we had right at $400,000, $392,278.58. We spent 95.6% of that money. As far as when you start to look at ESSER 2 and ESSER 3, those allotments are getting ready. We don't have much time to spend those allotments. Now, we do have things allocated to those allotments. So if we look at ESSER 2, ESSER 2 was a grant that was $3.65 million. We still have $2.3 million of those funds available to us. We've only spent 36.9% of those funds. So if you look at the big one is ESSER 3. ESSER 3, we had 8.1 million, and we have we still have a balance of 5.46 million, where we've only spent 32.78 of that percentage. So the big thing that I want to tell everybody in this room about ESSER 3 is 20% of that money has to be spent on learning loss, okay? So when we start talking about learning loss, we're talking about things of, you know, our 45-45, our catch-up process to our kids that struggled from COVID. So that is a requirement of ESSER 3, is to be able to get that 20% expenditure done. We've actually started to work on that, and we're going to have to be strategic and intentional on the way we approach this. We're gonna do all we can, you know, to spend, you know, we talk about summer school, we have the after school programs, we have ACEs. So yesterday I was actually at Region 3, and we were all sitting in there, everybody was in there scratching their head, because this is a good problem to have. But we all sat in there and we were all looking at how much money we actually had left in ESSER, and everybody's trying to figure out, like, what are we gonna do? Because the time is literally running out.
Has the money that has been spent in ESSER 3, is any of that allocated to learning loss?
Some of it, but a very small percent. So that learning loss percentage is I mean, we're gonna have to spend over 2 million.
It's close to 3.
Yeah. On the,
Wow,
by the end of next year. Now, we're hoping that
So
it'll be
when you say the end of next year,
the end of 2024.
September.
September of 2024.
September of 2024. But now, when we look at this, like, we do know that, we know that we've moved a lot of things to ESSER funding, because we were able to move our janitorial services to that. So we've been able to move those expenses, but those don't help us on our 20% that we have to meet for learning loss. And there's only so many tutorials that you can have. However, some of our professional development is tied to that, because we're getting people trained to be able to deal with some of those students that have had learning loss. So we're bringing in speakers, we're paying for all of our trainings out of ESSER 3, but I will tell you, $5.46 million is a lot of money, but it's our job to get it spent, and it's our job to figure out what we can do to benefit our community, our kids.
What can we do? Does technology stuff go towards that learning loss?
Well, it can, so, but you have to explain, how it's tied to the learning loss. So we're buying Chromebooks. We're getting ready to, out of ESSER 3, you're gonna see, that we're gonna be talking about our phone system. The reason we're doing the phone system is because we want every one of our teachers, in the event that we go home, you know, or we have to, you know, go back to online learning, or kids can't come, we want every teacher to be able to have access to a phone in their room on a secure, a newer system, and where they can be able to have dialogue with kids at home. In the event that we need to, if we have to get hotspots, all of those things are covered under ESSER 3. So there's a lot of things that we can do, but everything that we have to do is really tied to, we have to do it tied to COVID, is what we really have to do. We have to tie it back to COVID, everything that we do.
and I would like to just say to the board and to commend the work they're doing, because Northside has been doing some after school and some incentive programs. The middle school has been doing the swim program. There are a lot of things. I will say to you though, that Dimitri is right. Even though we're paying our employees well to do that, not every teacher is gonna wanna work after school or on a Saturday. So, if we could, you know, just saw a school district today in Missouri that is going to a 4-day week and adding 35 minutes to the instructional day. So, you know, there are things out there that would create a change in the apple cart if we
There's
went
quite
to,
a few of those in Texas doing that.
yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, they go less days, they add minutes, but they don't change the contractual obligation any, which would give you an opportunity to, on, let's say, the the school I saw today was gonna be doing it on Monday, so you could actually have an extra day of school on a Monday. And people could actually work, but when the COVID money runs out, what's gonna happen? So all those things have to be taken into consideration, but, I think that Demetrius right, it's a good problem to have.
But it causes other problems because, you know, we got state comp money that we have to spend, and we have dyslexia money that we have to spend, and we have CAPE money that we have to spend, you know, so. And some of them have the same stipulations, so you wanna do it out of this one, so you can, you know, so you can meet your entitlement, but then you have this big pot of money over here, so. But it's a good issue to have. I mean,
It's my pot.
I mean, 'cause
We've done
Never have
certain,
trouble spending money.
certain types of construction we've done out of ESSER.
Mhm.
Can you do ground up construction out of ESSER? But you can do certain HVAC and that kind of stuff
So-
that we've been doing.
So the goal, I mean, you know, Mr. Bright and I talked about it today. I mean, like, at the end of this deal, there should not be an AC unit in this,
I agree.
in this district that's not replaced.
And that would be that'd be a huge shot in the arm. I mean, because when those rooftop deals go out, it is expensive.
Right.
I told him he ought to buy 10 buses and just park them out there, if it's allowed.
It is allowed. Yeah. No, it's-
Can have more buses to spread kids out.
You gotta spread
on.
kids out. We don't want, I mean, we wanna, you know, increase our fleet because we don't want kids, you know.
May not need them now, but you'll need them down the road.
Now, if they ask us who's driving them, then
What, I have a question. So
It's a rotation basis.
you said it's like $3 million.
It's like 228.
20% of 8 is
Is-
1.6, right?
yes, 1.6.
So
It's two.
But what we
so
have,
how is it?
no, what
What
we,
do we do?
in the grant, it shows like 2.4 or 2.5.
That's
25.
Oh,
But
okay,
it's-
so
but
there's
it's-
more money in the grant, okay.
Yes,
They're probably including the 8 million and the ESSER 2 money, which was 3 million, right?
Right, that
that's
sounds
what
like,
you-
that would be right.
These totals include what you say you have allocated?
Yeah.
So, but, I mean, we know that we're gonna, we're gonna pay janitorial services this year, we're gonna pay them next year. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that we're going to, try to continue to do to free up our local money. Now, going into next year, when we start looking at salaries, there are several salaries that for probably 1 year, to utilize some of this money, we will code some of those salaries to ESSER.
Can you buy land like we're looking for special ed?
I don't think you can buy land.
No.
You
Or
can do
building.
renovations to buildings,
Okay, but you couldn't buy
as
buildings.
long as,
Certain parts of.
well, it's all about learning loss. So when we're talking about the
Okay,
DAP, the ALP, and step 2, those are all about our ALP program is all about learning loss. It's all about helping students graduate. So that is a program that would fit right into that.
Thank you for the report.
But it, like I said, it's a great problem to have.
No, it's an exceptional problem to have. It's
But by 2024,
almost a crazy problem to have with.
we'll be,
that's a
We
lot
get-
of money.
Year and a half.
I wished I had that phone.
Bruce, y'all seen Brewster's Millions
oh yeah.
back in the day? That's the problem we have. You gotta spend $1 million by midnight. Alright, that'll take us to, closed session, right?
Yes, sir.
Time is now 7:29. We will adjourn into closed meeting under Texas Government Code 55.
Oh, did you find these?
551.076 and 551.089
It was pretty good.
And 551.074.
and 551.074 as posted.
Thank you for
And again.
The time is now 9:26 and the board will reconvene in open meeting.
So board members, we are back on the agenda for item 7A1, Ms. Starry.
Yes. So in your, board package, you should have a sheet that says 23-24 board input on calendar. And basically that's just, would like to just get your input. Do you have any opinions or parameters or anything that you want us to consider as we're developing the 23-24 calendar?
So you'll find on page 67, Alicia has given you a calendar input. We received input from all of our staff. And so, do you have any preferences about start date, end date, Christmas, etc.? So,
Are you supposed to write it down or what do you want?
No, you could tell it however you wanna do it.
I suggest y'all discussing, I'm not telling you, I suggest you discuss moving the work day or the, whatever it is at Thanksgiving that occurs on the Monday following, is that right?
Mhm.
The Monday following to the Friday previous. And I think it would, cause I think we're consistently gonna run into a UIL event on that day that creates travel conflicts, busing conflicts, all
We
the things
actually
that y'all do.
put that in the input to the
Okay.
staff about doing at least an early release that day, and
Or-
overwhelming majority said yes. Like they supported that. The reason we would be concerned about moving the PDPLC day there, not to say we have to do it the Monday after, but we specifically do those for the benefit of the teams to have opportunity to meet for their planning, and I don't wanna take that away from them, so, you know, cause
Y'all
teachers
know
and
best.
everybody's gonna wanna go to games, like,
Y'all know
without a
best.
doubt, I
That's
don't wanna
my-
take that from
that's
them,
my
so,
only,
yeah, but no, I understand
that's
what
my
your
only
concern
insight
is,
is.
yeah,
Well,
definitely.
and don't get too creative.
I-
Seems like every time we get too creative, we have to, in the middle of the year, we have to go back and
Oh, no, we're gonna make sure.
rearrange the calendar.
well, I think that we did, get input that wanted to, place an early release day before all the major holidays. So we built a calendar that we feel gives us enough instructional minutes.
There's like 4 next year,
There's
right?
4, there would be
That's
one
suggested.
before Thanksgiving, before Christmas, before spring break, and before
The end of the year.
the end of the year. So it would not be before Good Friday.
Correct.
We would have a full day.
Okay.
Which Christmas break option are you leaning towards?
Yeah, that's
Well,
always a
the
biggie.
overwhelming, the majority has put the December 15th. But when we play with the calendar, there's just so many things that if you do this, it affects that. So it's really hard to do the 15th and come back on the 3rd because we have too many days, too many days. So there's a chance it could be the 15th and come back on the 8th. Like, it could be a combination of those things, but the majority of the employees have said the 15th.
And come back on when?
And then the kids would be out, the teachers would come back on the 4th, January 4th, and the students would come back that month.
That Monday, the 8th.
But that's not to say that's what it'll be, that's
not what
just,
this one says, Alicia.
no, it doesn't, it's just once we put it on paper.
Yeah.
If you do the 15th and you come back on the 3rd, we have too many days.
Well, that's why we're asking you if you have anything, because our issue is we have to have 187 work days for teachers, and we wanna have 172 instructional days for kids, which leaves time to prepare for, the school year prior to it starting, gives people preparation times during the school year before kids come back from major holidays. So that those days were deemed to be very beneficial when the teachers got to meet the Monday after the kids have been out for a week.
Absolutely.
So it causes some concerns, and we're not ready to give you a recommendation today, but we do wanna know if there's some things that you've noticed or believe are important.
That's it. Any discussion?
Start date is pretty early.
And that actually was the majority as well, the 9th. We gave
Man, August 9th?
Yeah. Really trying to see if we can make it work on the 16th, which is a whole week later, but they wanna get it's getting out before Memorial Weekend is important to them, so when you work backwards, it's tight on the 16th.
And those are all,
We haven't given up on it yet.
those are all Monday start dates,
They're Wednesday start dates.
Wednesday, that's good.
And that was a big one too, Rich,
Yes.
Yes.
so that teachers had some time to.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess back in the day,
That first whole.
3 days.
Start
Oh, I
date
know,
Monday.
it makes a 5-day,
Well, that's why we're asking the board,
right.
so what we're hearing is that you like a 3-day week to start. Is that what we're hearing?
I do.
I like that as a teacher, yes,
Yes.
yes.
The teachers like it, and that's,
Yeah.
as long as they like it, I like it.
yeah.
Yeah.
The same thing with this Christmas thing, I know they like to get a little more time before Christmas.
Get their shopping.
But you could trim that August 9th start date down if you,
Like if we would go to the 20th,
yeah.
then there's a chance we could start on the 16th. You know what I'm saying? Like we could, so it's like,
And we're trying to equalize first and second
Man,
semester.
August
That's
9th is early, I mean,
It is.
that's about as early as it's ever been, right?
When
I
did we
agree.
start this year?
the 10th.
Cause I guess back in the day,
I mean.
you didn't, the Christmas break was shorter, and you didn't take the week at Thanksgiving.
Well, the Thanksgiving. thing.
Yeah, we never had the.
But the
week,
legislature
yeah.
changed the start date, I mean, they made it where you,
Yeah,
Could.
but then they took that back whenever they did the
Yeah.
minutes, you can do it in
Right.
whenever you want to.
Well, if you're not District of Innovation,
You can't start before
you
the
can't
4th,
start
before the 4th Monday in August.
in August.
So that's another agenda item tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for your input.
And if you think of anything, feel free to email me.
Okay, so now we go to 7B3. Consider providing the superintendent the authority to enter into a contract with a training program provider to provide training for the Guardian program. So what this would do would allow me to, find a provider for the Guardian program and then go into a contract with them, without, and maintaining the confidentiality is allowed by the Texas School Safety Center guidelines and state law.
Discussion,
I'll move that we provide you that authority to enter into a contract with the training program provider
have
for the
a
Guardian program.
motion by Mr. Dortick,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Hobbits, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign, nobody opposes.
So then we would move on to item B4, which is consider approval of the Guardian program recommendations from the District School Safety and Security Committee.
move that we approve the proposed district guardian procedures as recommended by the School Safety and Security Committee.
Have a motion by Mr. DeBrock, second by Mr. Dortick, all in favor, raise your right hand, opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
So then we move on to Alicia again with consider approval of the renewed District of Innovation Plan for 2023 through 2027.
Alright, so our District of Innovation Plan now is gonna expire at the end of the semester. And so we're recommending your approval for the renewal of it. There's been no major changes to it as far as the things we asked for the innovation. We did add one for transfer students, so it's the very last one. And that's basically saying that we don't have to wait a whole year. If a student transfers in, we can consider denying a transfer in the middle of the year, like mid-year when they're already with us.
Good.
And didn't you also change something about the elementary campuses?
We did, yes, I'm glad you said that. The teacher certification, we had done 5th grade and up, and we now did pre-K and up, so.
Has the state changed any of the guidelines or anything for the DOI?
No, not
It's all
really.
just still as it was.
Mhm.
I'll seek approval, a motion for the approval, to renew the District of Innovation Plan.
Awesome.
Have a motion by Mr. Dubrow, a second by Mr.
There you
Hobbs.
go.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Irwin, absent.
And now we have, B6, which is approval of proposal to replace district phone system, which is Mr. Wells and Mr. Olden.
Yes, and I have Mr. Olday here to answer any questions if you guys. he's
Mr. Olday.
eager.
And as
I
long
wanna
as we kept
apologize, I wanna apologize to you for not moving you up in the.
I just thought you were here
I
for
thought
fun,
you were
Donald.
just really interested in
Tell us
local
about this phone
government.
system.
I would've bumped you up behind the CPA guy.
I was wondering what was going on. I'm-
We're not.
This is kind of new to me, so I'm just gonna sit back here.
I'm very apologetic. I had
I'm
no
not,
idea.
no.
I got some quality time in with David and.
Well, and I do need to say,
Terrible.
in all seriousness, well, we knew that, and Donald understood that, but this is his first official duty as the,
So you wanted to kick him in the teeth.
Yes.
no, it's
Sure
just,
this was
it just is what it is
Get the
for
full
tonight, but
experience.
you could have told Mr. Wells to put the phone system on the next month's, but,
No, Donald would have waited until midnight tonight.
I've been trying to get this, for me, this started back in May, so I've been trying to get this done since, well,
Yeah.
the process started back in May,
Right.
so.
And we've been informed on the phone system
but
since then.
but this is his first official duty and responsibility, so I'd like to just give him the opportunity to be welcomed by you and say whatever we're excited to have him. It's gonna be a loss with Turk, but I think we have someone that's, gonna be a great addition to our team, and
Yep.
we're appreciative of Donald.
Thank you.
Any questions on the phone system before we? Okay, I'll seek a motion to approve the proposal to replace the district phone system.
I'll make that motion.
Ms. Smith has the motion. Mr. Vallejo, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Aren't you glad you stayed here that
Oh,
long
yeah.
to see this?
Board members, that moves us all the way down to 9 and personnel, so, we just, our administrative contracts go up for, extension at the end of February. Typically, if the board completes the evaluation of the superintendent in January, which we're expecting, so then we would do the administrators in, February, and then, teachers in April. So that would be the timeline we would follow.
Any questions, discussion, concerns? Superintendent's report, pretty much done with
That's
that.
it, yep.
Alright, the time is now 9:39.